going on, family? Sip checking in, and welcome back to another NFL video. Now, if you may or may have not known, the Los Angeles Rams recently got eliminated in the NFL playoffs, more specifically in that divisional round against the Philadelphia Eagles. And since then, it's been about a week since they got eliminated. So today, I'm going to give you all a complete breakdown of how the LA Rams season went this year, as well as some tips that they could use going into future seasons as well. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, to start off this video, we need to shout out the Los Angeles Rams positives throughout the whole season. And honestly, everyone, I could say there are two positives that I really saw from the LA Rams throughout the whole season. And one of them is their adversity, more specifically how they played through adversity, especially going into the later stages of the season. And number two is their coverages, especially on the offensive end, especially going into the later stages of the season and the playoffs. Because listen everyone, if you know anything about the LA Rams coming into the season, you know that they had some expectations for them, especially given the fact that they made a lot of roster changes this past season, as well as different people stepping into new roles and everything else in between. So things were looking really high and really positive for the LA Rams coming into the season. And throughout the month of September, you could really say things were going in their favor because they were winning games in a very awesome pace and everything was working as they should. But in that October to December period, well, there was a little halt because things were very, I wouldn't say nervous paced or anything like that, but I would say that things really didn't really go in the Rams' favor, because you could say that there were some personal circumstances that came in the team's way during that time or anything else. But the fact of the matter is, during that period, the LA Rams were losing games that they were supposed to win, and that really affected how they're going to perform coming into the new year, because at that point most of the media basically wrote off the LA Rams as a underperforming team of the season and they're not really going to be able to go to the playoffs. But instead of taking that as a sign to just give up, instead the LA Rams decided to say, no, that's not the case. We're going to believe in ourselves and we're going to push hard. And you could really tell the whole team really understood the assignment, because coming into the later stages of the season, especially going into the last few games of the season, closer to the playoffs, you can see an intensity shift in the whole team, and suddenly the opponents weren't able to get past the Rams defense, which is super huge given the fact that at the very start of the season, people were basically running over the Rams defense. So shout out to the whole team, especially the Rams defense, for stepping up and responding to the different narratives that were given about them throughout the whole season and fighting hard every single game right until the very end in the playoffs. So shout out to all of them for that. And this leads me to that coverage as well, because in the later stages of that season, as well in the playoffs, you can really tell that through the defense of the LA Rams, the offensive line was able to get more coverages and things of that nature in a much effective pace. And I really believe that that is the main reason why the LA Rams were able to beat the Minnesota Vikings like they did. Because without all of the LA Rams players contributing the way they did, the Minnesota Vikings would have been a way bigger challenge than they were. And that is just all credit to how the LA Rams played, especially in that later stages of the season. So shout out to all of them for that. Now, before we go any further, I do need to address one point, especially from a personal standpoint, that even though the Buffalo Bills are the reason why I started watching the NFL, and I will continue to support the Buffalo Bills and the NFL as a whole, especially going into the future season, because first of all, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. I do watch the LA Rams too, and quite frankly with you all, I have been watching the LA Rams more frequently and more closely, especially after COVID started as well, because during that time, from what I saw, they were fighting through adversity and they were getting results from it. And if you know anything about me, you know that I love teams that fight through adversity and has the results to back up for it. Because it shows me not only that they know how to fight through those adverse situations, but it also shows me that they are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve the ultimate goal, regardless of what any other people say about them, whether that is the media or whether that is their fan base or any other fan base as well. They're locked into what they want to do and they're going to do it to the best of their ability. So shout out to the LA Rams for that, and that is the main reason why I'll continue to support the LA Rams going into the future as well, because I really hope they continue to fight through adversity in the future as well as everything else that comes with it. Now, with the positives and the side note out of the way for the Los Angeles Rams, we do need to talk about the improvements that the Los Angeles Rams can make coming into this offseason as well as the seasons to come, because based on the result of this season, they did not get to the ultimate goal, which is to win the NFL Super Bowl, because they did lose in that divisional round against the Philadelphia Eagles. And from what I've watched from the Los Angeles Rams this season, there are two major improvements that I would like to see the LA Rams do. So let's talk about them now. The first improvement that I would like to see the LA Rams consider this offseason as well as the seasons to come is to address their backup quarterback situation. Because as great as Matthew Stafford is, let's not forget that this guy is 38 years old coming into this season. And on top of that, coming into the playoffs of this season, this man not only had one injury, but 4 injuries to his ribcage. And if you know anything about ribcage injuries, especially for a quarterback, you know how deadly they are. Because number one, they affect the quarterback's IQ to make the passes in a timely manner, because they gotta consider the opponent team and the fact that someone could rush at them to tackle them at any given notice. But number two, in the cases where the quarterback finds their brothers, passes are going to be a little short because the injury is definitely going to show when they try to make that pass. And you could really tell that was the case, especially in the LA Rams versus the Philadelphia Eagles game, because every single throw that Matthew Stafford was giving throughout the whole game, you can really feel the pain that he was facing, especially as the game got into the crunch moments. Because from what it seemed, it really didn't look good for him, especially given the fact that the pain was really starting to get to him, both from a physically and mentally standpoint, which I believe is the reason why those incomplete passes were made, as well as the reason why the Philadelphia Eagles ultimately ran away with this game. So, to fix the situation going forward, what I would suggest is to bring a young quarterback as the backup quarterback for the LA Rams, because by doing so, number one, not only will it give Matthew Stafford a little more time to rest, especially during situations throughout the whole season where he feels like the pressure or the situation calls for a little change of pace and a little more speed, which the young quarterback can provide. But number two, I believe that bringing a young quarterback as the backup quarterback will ignite a fire in Matthew Stafford, because at any given notice, the young quarterback could take over the starting quarterback role. And once he does, there is no way that Matthew Stafford will be able to reclaim his spot as the starting quarterback. So because of that, he will be able to make more accurate passes and avoid situations like what happened in October to December of this year, where we were losing winnable games against opponents, and he'll be able to make more sharper passes and find out where all of his brothers are at every single possession of the game, which will ultimately help the LA Rams win way more games than they have this season, despite all of the external factors that has been going for the LA Rams this season. The final improvement that I would like to see the LA Rams make this offseason as well as the seasons to come is to have a wide variety of plays at their disposal both on the offensive end and defensive end. Because even though the coverages were working, especially in that playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings, you can really tell that once the opponent team figures out the coverages that the LA Rams like to do, they basically don't have anything else to provide them to really keep the opponent guessing, which, especially in the playoffs, is something that all of the formidable teams have, whether that be 2 or 3 different players that can really improvise and do their own thing to help the team run away with the lead, or if it's a collective effort that needs to be done through different plays. Either way, majority of the formidable teams that are advancing in the playoffs, especially this season, has more than one way to counter every single opportunity that their opponents give, and also will be able to dish out different counters that can keep the opponent guessing, which unfortunately the LA Rams did not have, especially in that clutch moment in the fourth. So to fix all this, I believe if there's more plays on the defensive end for the LA Rams going into the future seasons, not only one will it cause problems for the opponents because they'll be so focused on trying to figure out how to really beat the Rams defense, but number 2, it will give the offensive line for the LA Rams more opportunities to execute their plays in an effective manner. And with all of this combined, I really believe that the LA Rams will be able to really understand the opponents better, and they'll be able to make counter plays throughout the whole game without much thought at all. So yeah, with all that being said, let me know in the comments below what you all thought of the LA Rams season this year. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you feel as nervous as I was, especially in that October to December period where they were on that losing stretch, where they were losing more games than they should, and everything else in between? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to talk to you all there. And if you're interested in other NFL videos, check out this video up here where I talk about the recent Buffalo Bills win against the Baltimore Ravens and what they can do going into the next game against the Kansas City Chiefs in their conference finals game. So yeah, with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and until the next video, Civ signing out.